Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. Listen, you've heard my hashtag different, better, more. What will you do differently, better, or more of in 2023? Some of you have already committed to healing from grief by working with me and my non-clinical approach to grief recovery and support. But for those of you who want to round out your healing with a clinical approach, there's BetterHelp and their network of over 25,000 licensed therapists. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. To get started, you just answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether that's by text, by chat, phone, or even video. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions when it's convenient for you. If your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom picked for you, with more scheduling flexibility and at a much more affordable price. Use this link to get 10% off your first month. BetterHelp.com/C-words. That's better, HELP.com/C-words. Ooh, those effing C words. Change and confidence, child. 2 words that are so scary they may as well be curse words. Let's talk about it. On this podcast, we'll share our stories about hardship and starting over, making professional pivots, ending relationships and friendships, and having the confidence to navigate change. I'm Marcia Cork, the change coach, and this is Ooh, Those Effing C Words. MCs, welcome back to another episode of Ooh, Those Effing C Words. I am Marcia Cork, and I am here with the woman behind the scene. Yes, I said that right, behind the scene, because when you look at the amazing talent on some of your favorite network TV shows and the beautifully curated ensembles of cast members, you're also looking at the work of casting director Thea Washington. Now, Thea has some big titles under her belt: ABC's The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, Big Brother, HBO's We Own This City, Oprah Winfrey Network's Ready to Love, and many, many more in her decade-plus career. And today we have the pleasure of hearing her story firsthand and really getting the behind the scenes for, the grit and the wherewithal that it takes to be a Black woman and pursue an unconventional career in TV and film. All right. So I know you're as ready to hear this story as I am. So Thea, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. And what a lovely introduction.
Oh, great. Thank you for being here. I am so excited to hear this, all the background. So I like these conversations to take a past, present, future kind of format. When we reflect, when we really sit still and think about our past, our childhood, there's always something. There's some life event. There's someone we were exposed to. There's some type of hardship that brings us to the work that we do today, that shapes the work that we want to get into. So that's why I like to have those conversations. My podcast is about change. It's about navigating change. Sometimes we're forced into change, and sometimes it takes, it's a beautiful plot twist. So that's where I want to start. I want to hear about little Thea growing up in Baltimore and New York, and the stories that shaped you and drove the work that you do today.
Oh, okay. So I would say if it starts from childhood, I would say my first inspiration or motivation would be my mother. I know everybody says that, but listen, my mom was really cool and her job was super cool, but I didn't realize it at that time. And I feel like if my mom was a dentist, I'd be like, yes, I want to be the best dentist I can be, just like my mom. Possibly, maybe not. But my mother was an executive in the music industry. So I grew up on tours and going to Teen Summit, or
I
BET.
remember Teen Summit.
Yes, like meeting famous people. And back then we didn't have Facebook and Instagram. So I've come back to school with all these fantastical stories that, they were normal to me, But everybody's like, oh, you're lying, you're lying, you're lying. And I'm like, no, for real. Like my mom said I can't bring the pictures to school, whatever. But eventually one time she brought Boys to Men, and it was a group ABC and BBD to my school.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's like I wasn't lying. Hey, but then I went to another school. But just having, my mom and all her friends just being so glamorous, beautiful in the music industry, but handling like male dominated normal work in such a feminine way, that definitely inspired me.
Was she supportive of a career in entertainment?
Hell no. Oh,
Okay.
should I curse?
Yeah. Yep, you're all good. Those FCC words.
Okay, cool. No. My mother wanted something totally different. And I think she could see the writing on the wall, because the music industry, especially when Napster came about, it took a different decline. And then like back in her day, it was like Luther and Janet Jackson and Whitney Houston, I want to dance, like happy music. And then, she had a job with Loud Records, which had Big Pun, I'm not a player, I just F a lot.
Okay.
And it had Wu-Tang Clan and all these different people. And she was like, oh, this ain't it. I don't want my child to grow up on this. Mind you, I knew every word for word. Back then, like I see my son and his friends, they like look at the lyrics and stuff, and they have it up for them so they can sing along. Listen, we had to do hard work. We had to rewind and write it down and all that stuff.
Write it down. Yeah, we did get to the point of the CDs and then sometimes having the lyrics inside.
Yes. Oh my goodness. That was my favorite part. Like opening, I would read everything. But yes, no, she was not. She probably wanted anything other than entertainment, because it did start to get kind of dark and sketchy. And, she came out for the most part unscathed, but you don't want your kid growing up in entertainment. I mean, working in entertainment, because it doesn't always equal sustainable
success. It's not always the glitz and the glam that it is to the outside world. She's, exposed to the darker side, I suppose, of the entertainment industry, and wanting to spare you from that. Yeah.
And she ran to Jesus, and it became HBO is hell's best offer, and Cinemax is sending to the max. So it was just like, no. Yeah, but I did it anyway.
So that's interesting, because I don't want to take the shine off of you, but it's pretty impressive that even your mom had a career in the entertainment industry. Can we spend a few minutes on that? How did she get into entertainment?
I think that one day, like my mom, even my dad and my mother are both entertainment, and they never were married. They actually don't really like each other, but my dad will always say, your mom is just the most beautiful woman in East and West Baltimore. Like even to this day, he can't stand her, but he will give her props. And she looked like Pam Grier, and she would see people like hanging up posters and stuff. And I think she just like, because she's beautiful, and it's something about a Baltimore girl. Like you think that they're pretty on the inside and that's it, but they have personality. They have like, the je ne sais quoi. Like we ain't been nowhere, but we have class sometimes like we have. So she kind of had that, and she worked at Loud, RCA, EMI, Motown, all those things, and I got to learn on the fly. So yeah, that's how I guess she got started.
And was she in Baltimore at the time? Started a career in entertainment?
Baltimore, New York, everywhere.
Yeah. Say if she was growing up in New York, that would make sense,
she didn't grow up in Baltimore. I mean, she didn't grow up in New York. She definitely is from Baltimore, West Baltimore.
Yeah. Sure. So it just doesn't strike me. I always say, in a lot of these conversations, I end up talking about how the DC area is just so government driven. You almost grow up here and get yourself a good government job. Right. So so I'm always impressed, just uber impressed, when I hear people from this area who have these very unconventional careers, because it's just we're not indoctrinated into those types of jobs, and even into entrepreneurship. I have very few examples of entrepreneurship growing up. So that makes sense. So you already have two parents in the entertainment industry. she has already gotten the miracle that is an unconventional career herself. So I can see you just kind of falling in line with it. So she's steering you clear initially. Was there anything else that you thought about pursuing, or was it
Well,
always?
I had every job in a book.
Mhm.
Like, well, first I thought I was going to be like Diddy in the music industry. Like, that's what I
Okay.
wanted. And I got my first job at Sony at, I think I was 19. And I
Okay.
worked there for like 5 years while I was in school. First I was a college marketing rep, and then they just made us urban marketing reps. And then we were just marketing
Mhm.
reps. And it was the most amazing job. Like it was maybe like 15 of us in the whole entire state. And I mean, not state, but the entire US. And
Okay.
we
Oh,
were all
wow.
promoting the music together, picking up the artists, doing the itineraries, taking them to record stores, taking them to the radio stations and all the different things. And it was just, we just felt like the Avengers, like
Mhm.
we were the luckiest people, and you paid us to do this. And we were
Yeah.
young, and they would fly us out to New York and stuff. And a lot of us are still in contact, but that was one of my first jobs. Then I got a good old government job.
Okay. So you did do that.
One whole year. And I'll always say they invited me to leave. Okay.
Mm.
And I worked for the jury clerk, well, the court system in Baltimore.
Okay.
The was it the district court? I'm not sure. But it's on Calvert Street. I worked there.
Okay.
You had to do jury duty. You had to see me. And I had all these great ideas on how we can make it, a more smooth, like situation for jury
Mm.
duty. They
Mm.
just started implementing Twitter for certain businesses. So I created this proposal, called a meeting, like, hey, everybody, I have some ideas. We can
Mhm.
make this more effective if we use this thing called the Twitter and social media. Cause I was
The
like,
Twitter.
listen, I was looking people up to see if they were lying or not. And I'm like, we can use
Oh,
social media.
wow. Uh-huh.
And they were like, bye. Like then I think the next day after I called the meeting, I got asked to leave, fired. And then I started
Wow.
working for my mom and her label. She eventually got a
Okay.
gospel label under Universal. And I also worked for my friend Tracy Stafford, who was a huge concert promoter. And we did lots of tours, rap tours.
Okay.
Back then it was like Lil Wayne and Gucci Mane. So I did like a lot of the stage production, or getting their red M&Ms and putting them on there, and just
Getting
seeing
there what?
getting their red M&Ms. Like some people just want some red M&Ms, and getting their
Oh, okay. This is that list that they always say artists require, like in the
uh-huh.
green room and on tour and things like that. All of their essentials, the
Yes,
must-haves. Okay, I got you. I
yes.
got you.
It's called their riders.
Okay. They're
It's like,
riders. Okay, so those are the ride-alongs to their contract agreements.
well, the contract is called the rider.
Okay.
And so you have to get all those things. And I remember
Mhm.
one time, I think the first time we had a concert with Lil Wayne, I like took my job so seriously,
Mhm.
got everything like perfect. And he never got off his tour bus to go to the room that I prepared. So yeah, but that was
Okay. And so you mentioned that you were doing this in college, or
but
you
this
said in
is,
school.
yeah.
Okay. So
So
how did you get that? How'd you get that opportunity at school? And this is in Hampton?
well, when I was doing the tours and stuff like that, that was
Mhm.
after college. That was, and I did go to Hampton, but this was after my first good government job and
Yeah.
all of that. After they let me go, I would tour with my mother's gospel artists, and on the side, when my friend would have a show, because promoters don't have shows every week, they have them like maybe once a month, once
Mhm.
every 2 months. I would do shows with her,
Okay.
just being like support and all of that. But the Sony stuff was definitely in college and after. So.
Okay. And so how do you get those opportunities? Because I want to also have people know where to start. So if you're in college and you are already, you already have your sights set on a career in entertainment, how do you get these types of internships and opportunities?
Listen, definitely go on LinkedIn, go on staffmeup.com. Um,
Mhm.
when your school has stuff, go and meet people, shake hands, don't be weird.
Mm.
Follow up with people. That's the best thing you
Mhm.
can do, is follow up and be consistent. It's a fine line between being um, consistent, persistent, and annoying. Um,
Mm.
And I
Like
think
that.
when you're a kid, it don't matter. You know, they're like, okay. But just know that um a lot of these people that are in these positions that you're looking up to, they don't got their stuff together. So
Yeah.
mentorship goes both ways, you
Yeah.
know. If I'm going to mentor you and impart wisdom on you, what can you help me with? Can you help that person with social media? Can you, volunteer at their book thing and help them sell books? Can you help them,
Mhm.
just volunteer and let them know like, hey, I would love to work with you. I'm not trying to take your client. I'm not trying to be you. I just would
Mhm.
like to, see what it is that you do, if you're young. Now, if you're an adult, you might have to get a consultant because
Okay.
people were like, oh, can you mentor me? And I'm like, Miss Ma'am, I'm not gonna teach you what I do so you can take me out. We ain't doing that. And you know, I will mentor kids and impart wisdom on anybody
Mhm.
have. You can learn from anyone and you never stop learning, and there are certain things.
Yeah.
But I think that people don't understand, like as interns, you have to be the president of the intern. Don't be trying to overstep everybody. Because that's the best
Mm.
way to get invited to leave.
Invited to leave. Yes.
And then also you don't want, because I've had so many nightmare employees and a lot of amazing ones too. I love y'all. Hi, Ryans.
Mhm.
But I've had a lot of nightmare ones that will create a whole empire off of stuff that you have taught them, you have
Yeah.
done. They'll try to reach out to your clients. Like I had an assistant on the HBO show pop up and be on a panel and say she was the executive casting director for HBO. And I'm like,
Wow.
girl, you weren't even a good assistant at that, and you're on a panel publicly. Like, no,
Wow.
I'm not
And
even,
this is even in your presence?
huh?
And this is even in your presence that this is happening?
You didn't know that I saw the flyer because
Ah,
we had parted ways, and she popped up, and I was like, this was our assistant. She's
yeah.
not an executive casting director. She's not even a casting director. Um, and I've had people like steal my stuff and, try to do consulting and teach courses and stuff like that. So if you are looking to shift or pivot and you want guidance from someone other than me, I think that you should definitely let them know that you will, sign some type of non-compete.
Yeah.
You will sign an NDA. You will not try to take any of their clients. You will not try to do what they do, at least in this market. So maybe
Yeah.
reach out to someone who does what you want to do in a different market. Or maybe you can add value to them and let them know, like, look, you show me what you want to do or how you do it, and
Mhm.
I will assist you, and I will help grow
Mm.
your business, and we can bring more people in because that's how you grow a company. But people have to like you and they have to trust you. And I don't
Yeah.
trust a lot of people.
Yeah, no, these are some great points, and it is a very slippery slope when it comes to that type of mentorship and providing that type of guidance. I've heard lots of mentors say that eventually the mentor becomes the mentee, or the teacher becomes the student
Hmm.
eventually. And that's because, there's this relationship of learning and then learning through teaching. People always say, even teachers, the reason why you stay so informed is because you always have one foot in both worlds.
Yeah.
You are learning as you go along. So there's something great that can come out of these mentor mentee relationships and these, teacher student relationships. But again, tricky because you're also connecting people, connecting them within your circle,
Mhm.
and giving this type of guidance that does expose them to people that they wouldn't have been exposed to otherwise. And then maybe there is some risk of forming relationships and you being left out of the loop. So that is, I'm glad you say that, because there is a way to navigate this without bringing harm and severing relationships. So it's good that you mentioned that. Some
And,
people
and,
go.
and check references because I'll
Yeah.
be like, oh, they seem so nice. Oh my God. And I'm so busy. So I don't think people are psycho liars. So I believe what people say, but check references, if
Yeah.
nothing else, like especially the people that are in position. Um, do your homework, have conversations with the references, shoot, even network with the references if they're good.
Yeah.
Um, and then also keep your stuff separate. Like just give some, relinquish, like, and just have good communication with them. And when they take something else on, but it's like it's an art to it.
Mhm.
I've worked with one of my colleagues. We partnered on a project before, and I was like, you have all these assistants, and you run like a tight oil machine. What I didn't know was that they are all on FaceTime for 10 hours a day. So she sees what
Mm.
everyone is doing. If someone takes a break, they might have their camera. I was like, oh, I ain't doing that. Like,
Oh, okay. Okay,
so
so a
they
virtual type of environment, and
have
she has insight into what they're doing all day long.
all day long, all day
Mm.
long.
So she must have been burned.
Mhm, mhm,
Okay, okay. Well, that is a very good suggestion to have conversations about non-compete. What
mhm.
does this relationship look like, and where do you wanna go? How do you wanna apply this knowledge, and where do you wanna take it? Because you are gonna have there's you if you even reach out to somebody for mentorship and guidance, it's because this is the field, this is the line of work that you're interested in. So there is gonna be, some murky waters to navigate. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
great tip. Thank you for that. Okay, so we've gotten up to the point of you working at this point with Sony. Where does it get to the point where you see this is something that you can do for yourself and you pivot out of music and into TV
Well,
film and casting?
it took a while for me to get there, but I worked
Okay.
for an amazing woman, Jermaine Leffridge. I pivoted into beauty. Um,
Really? Okay.
so I worked for the top brokerage firm in the multicultural African American space,
Okay.
for beauty. So I worked for a lot of products that I grew up using, from Luster to Talia Wajid, Ambi Skincare, ORS, all that stuff. So I
Okay.
work for a woman who's in Columbia, Maryland. She is the reason why those products are in the Targets, the Walmarts, the
Oh,
CVS's.
wow.
And I eventually gained a lot of trust, where I was doing a lot of things that her senior executives were doing.
Okay.
And, as a young kid, I probably was like maybe 25. To me, that's a kid. I
Hmm.
was flying on planes. I was setting up trade shows and
Mhm.
doing doing like presentations for new brands, and finding other brands to present, and doing the planograms, and just doing so much. And
Mhm.
I was like, wow, she really trusts me to do all this, and I'm doing it well. So it helped build up my confidence by doing it for someone else.
Okay.
And I was like, I think I want to open a thrift store. And me quitting to open a thrift store kind of led me into styling, which I had I think a pretty successful styling career. My work is in the African American Museum. I was signed to an agent. I did
Wow.
Beats by Dre commercials. I did covers of magazines from Money Magazine and House and Beautiful. I've
Okay.
done quite a stuff in that arena. But I was like, styling is cool, but how do I get a consistent check? Like, I love
Mhm.
this work. And so I stumbled on a true crime show as a stylist, and
Okay.
very underpaid. The casting director quit, and I always, no matter where I was, even when I was in the beauty industry, I loved to hire my friends and put them on. Even in the music, I loved to hire them and put them on. So
Okay.
it kind of always like the same. So I was like, oh, I can do that. Casting, I do that all the time. And
Mhm.
I didn't. Um, so yeah. So from there, I took on the role of styling and casting, and I was grossly underpaid. It was a show on the Reels Network. It was the first season of Copycat
Mhm.
Killers. I think they're on like
Okay.
season 15 or 20 by now. But um yeah, so that was basically like my film school, because I ended up
Yeah.
doing not just that. Sometimes I would have to help with locations. I would have to
Mhm.
help hire the crew and just do all this stuff. And to me, I was like, wow, this is going to be on real TV. I want to do this. And if
Mhm.
I can just get through this, I'm really going to rock out. And so I did. And that led to me getting referrals for other shows. And they were like, yeah,
Okay.
you just have to cast. That's it. And I was like, one thing? Okay. I get paid that much? Okay. And I learned
Okay.
that I was grossly underpaid, but I just loved it so much. So that's how I
Were
got
you getting casting credit for that true crime show at the
I
time?
got casting and wardrobe.
Okay. Okay. So let me connect the dots then. So because it sounds like you've worn a lot of hats, even in every industry, you did a little bit of everything, which is probably what made you qualified for the next opportunity.
Mhm.
So you're starting out as a role similar to what sounds like marketing rep and things like that in the music industry, and then being able to take that and pivot into, you said beauty from there.
Mhm.
Okay. And so then from beauty into styling, deciding to open your own thrift store, and then from the styling to casting director and to casting. And that was mainly because of your experience being able to hire talent to support the other roles and projects that you were working on. So I have to say, there's also a lot of confidence that comes in this. You know, we talk about imposter syndrome
Mhm.
and how women seem to suffer from that the most. So there's also confidence in this that you feel um, polished and professional enough to say, yes, I can do this, and then be willing to make that pivot. Because for a lot of people, what stops them is them feeling like they aren't immersed enough in that environment already or doing the work that they want to do, having enough of a skill set to make that pivot. So I love that you've been able to consistently transfer that knowledge and that skill set into another environment. You always had that confidence. Just yes, I can do
Um,
this. It's gonna
I
get done.
felt like so like even when I was like in high school, I just felt like I was gonna do something important. This
Mhm.
is a waste of my time. Like I just I don't know. And then seeing people that were mediocre in high positions, I think that gave me my confidence.
Yeah,
And I was reading the book by Rachel Rogers, I believe We Should All Be Millionaires. And she was saying that the statistics show that men will be so underqualified and will go for a position. Women
yeah,
will see one thing that they're not qualified for and will pass it up.
yep,
But after that imposter syndrome, shoot,
yeah.
there's been a couple cases I was the imposter. Like when I got my first bartending gig, I realized I was a terrible waitress, but I was like, I can do that. Get double the money sitting in one place. Somebody called out. I was like, yeah, I do that all the time. Let me do that. Listen,
Okay.
terrible bartender. Yes. Did everyone get drunk? Yes. This time, yes. And did I learn along the way? Yes. So I think like if people like you and trust you
Mhm,
a little bit,
mhm.
you could do anything. And if you have the wherewithal to figure it out. And
Yeah,
right now we have Google, we have YouTube, we have all these different resources. So
yep,
I say don't say no, just say, sure, let me get back to you. Um,
yeah,
or let me see the scope of work and you better go and research every damn thing. Call
yes.
some people, get consultants, do whatever you got to do. Like figure it out because there
Yeah.
is so much opportunity out here and you shouldn't be able to tell yourself no to an opportunity before someone else does.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Okay, so we've talked about the wins. It seems like you've been able to successfully thread into any field that you set your sights on. Any hardships, any challenges
All
breaking
the
in
time.
anywhere?
All the time
Mhm.
because like I mean some days I'm like I don't want to say it's like drug dealer money, but one of my
Tell me
good
more.
one of my good friends, Sarah, like I heard her say,
You putting her name out there too?
yeah, okay, she's not the drug dealer money, but
Okay, okay.
she said something that kind of like changed my perspective. She was just like, her name is Sarah Stusek. Um, she said that, wait, they offered me to come in for it was a nice company too. They offered me to come in for an interview. I was like, wow, that's amazing.
Mhm.
And what role, whatever. And she was like, I'm not doing it. And I was like, what? She was like, number one, nobody gets to tell me how much I get to make. And number two, I'm not coming in every day. I don't know them people. I don't even know if I like them damn people. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh, I like that.
Mm.
So the struggle is like some days it's drug dealer money, and then some days it's like crackhead money, you know?
Okay. Okay.
So, sometimes you have like an amazing season. Like I would say I had an amazing run these past 3 years, like just
Okay.
booked nonstop or whatever.
Mhm.
I'm okay now. I'm on a show now. I have a possible show coming up. But to be like so crazy booked where the
Mhm.
money is so amazing, it's so great. You don't have to look for a job. I don't market. I haven't had to market. But it's like sometimes you got to start at square one again. So you got to
Okay.
reach out like, hey, it was great working with you last year. Just like, I'm in the area. Hey, I'm still casting stuff because people will think that you won't do commercials anymore because they see you on film or you're
Mm.
doing reality. They think like, oh, she doesn't do local stuff or, I'm like, hey, I'm hitting up every single person I have made money with.
Mhm.
And hey, I'm here. What's up? So, that part and with it having to go get it, I guess that's a challenge because you're
Yeah.
working, but then you still have to do the outreach. So yeah.
Okay. So what does go get it look like?
Go
Someone
get it.
starting out. Yeah.
You said starting out or just
Yeah.
now?
Let,
Um,
I, let's say both because I want to hear your story and then I want to hear the wisdom that you impart on others for breaking through themselves.
okay. Well, this could kind of be like a 2-for-1. So,
Okay.
like I said, we have YouTube and we have Google. So, let's say you are an actor, use Google and look up every single casting director and send them an email and
Mhm.
create a database and a list of everybody that you've reached out to. Take a note, make a personal note. Like, don't blast them out. I hate when people will send me a text with all these other casting directors. Some I like, some of them I don't want to have my number.
Mm.
So just get busy, go and I hate to say network, but reach out, go on
Yeah.
people's pages, like do some research. What movie did you like? Go and look up to see who is the hiring person on that, who was the producer, who was the casting director, and then go and see if they have a LinkedIn. Hit them up on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Hit them up on Instagram. As long as they don't slide on my DMs or this is
Mhm.
for people that know me for real. Reach
Mhm.
out. Send them an email. Let them know that, hey, I'm in the area. Let me know if you have something that's going on. And then take that same list and reach out to it quarterly. And I'm sure if you don't get something, within the first month, you will get something, eventually. So
Okay.
doing that has kind of been a big help for me
Okay.
as far as the outreach on the slow time. Hiring help, automating stuff has been helpful. Um, saying no a lot is
Mhm.
very helpful because if you say yes to something, you might have to say no to something else.
Okay.
And just making sure that you are true to yourself and you know yourself. Because I had a Zoom with someone and I felt really sad when I got off of it because I'm like, I'm not doing background casting anymore because it's just so stressful. It's a lot.
So tell me about that. What's background casting?
Background casting is creating an atmosphere for different television shows, movies, digital media, whatever you may see. Anybody that's in the background that does not have um, a principal role or a speaker.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The people that have lines, they're considered principal or day players, and anybody else in the background. So if
Mhm.
you don't have
So
background,
those are the extras. I used to hear that word,
yes,
extras. Okay.
they're extras. And if you don't have extras or background, you really just have a stage play, you know? So they
Yeah.
create the atmosphere, they make it real.
Okay.
And it's very strenuous. On a couple of projects, the one with the Obama's production company, Rustin, that comes out soon,
Mhm.
cast
Mhm.
2,000 people in a short amount of time. And that's
2,000 extras?
2,000 extras.
Okay.
And that's hard because you're really starting with 10,000 because one, you have to make sure that the schedule works. And then if it's a period piece, which it was
Mhm.
called Bayard Rustin and Martin Luther King and all of that. You have to make sure that they fit the clothing. And for some
Mhm.
reason, all the clothing back in the day was small. I think we were smaller. We didn't have the supersized McDonald's and all that stuff like that.
Mhm.
So you have to make sure that people fit into those clothing. So that brings you down even more. Then you have to make sure they understand that, okay, I have to show up to my different COVID tests. They have to show up to their fitting.
Wow.
You have
Yeah.
to make sure that if it's a period piece, that they don't show up with, a lace front wig or blonde hair or modern tattoos and things like that. Like, it's
Yeah.
a lot. It's very strenuous. For We Own the City, I believe that was on HBO. We did 5,000 at the minimum, and that was taxing. That was taxing.
And how many actually get selected out of the 5,000?
5,000 were selected, but I think
Okay.
that we probably started with 20,000 maybe
That is
to
crazy.
get to that number, and it was a lot. And people are in your DMs and they're texting you, they're
Yeah.
following you, they're on your Facebook, they're on, and I didn't get picked, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
And getting it from, so I basically retired. I only do local casting, which is the people that didn't come in from LA or New York, that aren't like celebrity, but they still have speaking roles. I'll do that. I'll do commercials. I'll do reality, but I cannot have everybody in Baltimore that know me since kindergarten reaching out. It is mentally, emotionally, physically taxing. Like,
Yes.
and
So
then
10,000 people and a team of how many to field all of these incoming requests and questions and headshots and all of that?
okay, so We Own the City, I think it was like 3 of us with my mediocre assistant, the one that was like single white female,
Mm.
and we hired someone else. So yeah, so we had 4 at the maximum, and it goes so fast. So you have to keep casting, and then if they don't show up to a COVID test, you have to start again.
Yeah.
And make sure that you have someone that you can disguise as this person. Like, it's no, thank you.
Yeah. But it does sound like a good entry point, though. So if all of the experienced, seasoned, veteran, casting directors have now backed away from background casting because it's a lot of work, someone who wants to enter that field and is, hungry and has the hustle, that could be their entry point.
Do it.
Yeah.
It.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a lot. And then there's no controls that you can put in place because those are all of the methods that you need people to reach out to you. So like, on social media, you want people to be able to contact you for casting purposes, but then you can't control then the incessant follow-up questions and checking it. Yeah.
I would direct people to, and I still have the automated message on my daggone social media, but I would direct everybody to the inbox. So that way me or my casting partner or one of our team members can respond, because it's just, stuff falls below the loop. Like, I might not see it, so I just direct everybody to the email.
Okay. And how much time generally do you have on a project to cast?
It just depends. So I usually like to have 1 month worth of prep, which will consist of me promoting it, getting the word out, seeing who I have, seeing who's available, seeing who fits the different roles, and doing a breakdown, and seeing what we need on which day and what the wardrobe needs, and creating a packet for background or whoever it is, whatever project. So that way they know what to do for hair, what are the do's, what are the don'ts, getting the language approved that I use in social media and on the casting websites, knowing what we can use and what we can't. Sometimes I try to help out prop cars by posting their stuff so my actors can get a bump up with pay if they get the prop cars. So
now what's that? Prop
so there are so many different ways you can get paid. You can use your location, like your home. Sometimes productions want to film in your home. That could be extra $500 to $1,000 for you, depending on the production. Cars. People think, oh, I don't have a fancy car. It doesn't matter. We're creating real life. So you might get an extra $100 for your Toyota to be on set, just parked. You might, if it becomes hero car, which means like the stars, the one that the star drives,
Mhm.
will probably get $500 a day. Um,
There's a term for that?
mhm,
A hero car? Wow,
mhm.
look at that.
Yep. So it's just a lot of different ways to make money as an
Mhm.
actor. And I always say, if you have, if you're doing a family submission, use your real family if they will do it and act right and not embarrass
Okay.
you. Like submit your real family, submit your house. Like, hey, I don't know if you guys need a location, but this is my home. You're welcome to film here.
Okay.
We also have cars. Don't know what the creative looks like, but you're welcome to use my car as a prop
Okay.
car if needed. There you go.
Hmm. Okay, so do the reality stars get paid in this way? Does that up their earning potential by shooting in their home and hold up. Good question, right? But this is where we're going to pause. Stay tuned for that response and the rest of this conversation next week because there's always some tips and juicy stories in part 2. See you then. You know what, MCs? The audio is just part of the podcast experience. Sometimes you need the facial expressions, the hand gestures. You need to see our faces so the jokes land. So head on over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/the It's Marcia Cork, right now to watch the visuals alongside these episodes. You can enjoy newly available video of my past episodes and subscribe so you can get notified as soon as this episode becomes available next week. So that's youtube.com/It's Marcia Cork. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. See you there. Bye-bye. Ooh, Those F and C Words is an independently produced podcast produced and edited by yours truly, Marcia Cork, and made possible with support from listeners like you. To support the podcast, go to anchor.fm/those F and C words/support or click the link in the show description. If you've made a commitment to self-care in 2023, join my free #DifferentBetterMore challenge on Slack. Come for the accountability, stay for the community. Download the Slack app now and click the link in the show description to join.